I think J.D. Vance is going to be an outstanding vice president. Here's why. I've known him for a long time. So I don't say this as somebody who you recently met in the context of American politics. I've known him for over a decade. We were law school classmates, actually. We used to watch Cincinnati Bengals games together. That's how we knew each other more. We didn't even know we were among the few lone conservatives at Yale Law School. He is somebody who has not only lived the American dream, like in a real way, but actually cares about serving the public, which I know sounds like a pretty basic attribute for a public servant, but actually he's one of the few who is in it for the right reasons. He has a clear ideology. He's intelligent. Even when we do have differences of opinion in certain areas, actually we have some of our best conversations around that. And he's
that mean what?
Areas of, where we might have slight, policy differences in opinion, here and there. We agree on much more in common than are different. But even in micro areas where he and I maybe, have shades of daylight between us, one of the things I love about him is that we can actually have free, intellectually rich, unvarnished conversation where I think on occasion he has pushed me to think about issues differently than I did before I talked to him, and I'd like to think that the same has been true in reverse as well. And that's the basis of our friendship.
He's also advocated, for essentially quoting Andrew Jackson talking about, if the Chief Justice makes a ruling, come enforce it.
I haven't heard him say that in one of my experiences. I'm not going to respond to somebody's secondhand characterization of something he said. But what I will believe,
I can read the exact quote.
I'm happy to, but I also want to take respect for a couple of the questions.
Sir, how do you think?
But I think he's going to be. My bottom line is, I think, no two people in America agree on 100% of issues. So you could probably pick disagreements between anybody on any range of policy questions, but I think he's going to be a good vice president because his heart, he brings something that is so rare in American politics. I can't emphasize this enough. As somebody who comes from the outside, you have people who are in it for the wrong reasons, and he is somebody who is in this because he deeply cares about the United States of America and our own citizenry, and his rhetoric isn't some show. It is an actual sense informed by his own story. And I know him from over a decade, how personal that is, and I just think that that's going to be a good thing for this country, and I'm glad he was there.
So how do you think the Trump shooting that happened will impact the election, especially in this battleground state?
Well, look, I think the first thing I want to say is forget the political and partisan consequences of it. That was a near national tragedy that we averted by a hair's width. And I hope it's an occasion for all Americans to step back and say, you know what, we're united around the idea that this is a country where you get to have your own opinions and express them without fear of political retribution or, God forbid, the fear of violence. That's not America. That's not the America that you and I know. And I think a lot of Americans are stepping back and saying that. Now, you're asking about the consequences on the election in a battleground state. I think Biden has a bit of a fork in the road now. I think the case for removing Biden is now stronger than ever, actually. Because on one hand, he says, and I'll take him at his word, that he wants to unite the country and tone down the political rhetoric. But his entire campaign message has centered around how Donald Trump is an existential threat to American democracy. And so either he's doubling down on something that he himself has said is the wrong direction to go, or he doesn't have a campaign message left. And so I think that's a fork in a road that doesn't end in either direction in a place that's good for President Biden. But
what do you think about them removing their television ads, the Biden-Harris administration?
I have no idea how they're handling their capital allocation decisions of their campaign. The reality is, look, this week at the Republican convention, I don't think we should focus very much on what shenanigans are happening on the Democratic side, who the nominee is going to be. I think it's a distraction. I think this convention, especially in the wake of what happened on Saturday, has an opportunity to be about who we are and what do we stand for and what ideals actually unite us as a Republican Party and, more importantly, as Americans. And the more we do that, I think the more successful we're going to be in November. But the more we do that, the more I think we're going to unite this country, and that's what I'm rooting for.
Do you think that the Democrats' rhetoric helped lead to what happened at the rally?
I'm in this to play my role in reviving our country, and I think that involves reuniting our country. I think that there's a strong case to blame the media, to blame the Democrat machine, but I'm not focused on doing that. I would like for us to take the road less traveled, which is to focus on who we are and what we stand for. And I think those are ideals that unite all Americans. And I think the best way we're going to save this country isn't by calling on the other side to play by different standards, but to hold ourselves to the standards we expect to hold the country. So that's what I believe. Thank you.
Thank
guys.
you.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.